Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. It is 7:40 a.m. East Coast time, Tuesday, June 25th. Coming to you from a hotel in North Carolina. About to bounce out today. I wanted to do this video. The WNBA video will also be up, so I appreciate it. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, I cover daily fantasy sports in the NFL streets, the NBA, MLB, which is what we're looking at now, WNBA, which is a video up. Go check it out as well. And then golf as well. Probably not going to get around too much golf content this week just because of traveling. I probably do something tomorrow for it, but nothing major. And yeah, I want to break down this 15-game massive slate. Going to be a chalk bunny of a slate yesterday. Actually did pretty well, even though the E-Rod went sideways, but did really well just because he was 50% owning the 3 max that I played. So that being said, let's kind of hop into it. If you hit me with a like button, I appreciate that. Hit me with a subscribe button. Take the phone out of your pocket, 2 seconds if you're just walking around listening to this as sort of a podcast, or if you're at your computer. That red subscribe button helps a lot. I kind of want to give people the push. If you go and hit it, helps me out, helps me kind of make money through YouTube without it costing you anything except that 1 second of your time. So I appreciate that so much. And then also, I do have content over on Patreon. I am writing articles as often as I can. I would say on average probably around 5 times a week out of the 7 days, and I'm trying to do it as much as possible with just ranking my stacks for that day in more depth and not just doing an early look at the pitching, but ranking my stacks, ranking my pitching in terms of top 5 pitching, top 5 stacks with analysis. Yesterday's was about a 1,200 word article, which is a decent length, right? I mean, you're writing a 4-page paper. So I enjoy doing that, and I wanted that to be sort of more value for the patrons who are going over there supporting me. So that's available over on Patreon. Follow me at Mlb Dfs for just updates in terms of baseball stuff, updates in terms of my content. Like, I am on vacation. Well, not really vacation, just checking out apartments in North Carolina. So I didn't do an MLB video 2 days ago. You would have known that if you just go over on Mlb Dfs on Twitter. I kind of update no matter what. So let's cover this slate. Remember, like, subscribe. I appreciate all that. Follow me on Twitter. Patreon's available. Starting it out, obviously, 12-4 Max Scherzer. I think he's the highest priced guy I've seen on the slate all year long. He faces Miami today. Look, I don't have to tell you anything about how great of a matchup this is. Wherever you listen to content today, whatever articles you read, they're going to have Max Scherzer as a surefire, incredible play. He's absolutely a lock in cash. Is he an absolute lock in tournaments? I lean yes. I hate playing chalk, but I lean yes. Look, it depends on where ownership comes in. It's a 15-game slate, so you hope that naturally the ownership gets spread out. I'm just going to hit on such a big slate. Right now, I kind of have marked 7 pitchers that I'm interested in early on. I'll weed out some of those. I'll add in some of those, and then I'll write them up in the article later. And also my stacks. People want my hitting information. I'll be putting stack information in there. Yesterday we got a Jay Bruce home run, which we kind of called. We got some lefty home run from Michael Conforto, which we kind of called. So that was nice just based on the matchups. There's a lot of upside for those. So that's some things that I do write up. But Scherzer, yeah, the matchup against Miami, it's incredible. He has a sub-3 Sierra. I don't have to tell you that he doesn't walk guys. He doesn't give up home runs. Miami really doesn't hit home runs. He strikes out guys from both sides of the plate. Almost 40% of righties. This Miami lineup is going to feature 8 righties. Potentially 9. JT Riddle has been hitting home runs from the left side of the plate as of late, but so he'll probably stay in the lineup. So 8 righties is what you're probably going to see Scherzer face today, and he strikes out 40% of them. There's no reason that Max Scherzer should not pitch 7 innings at least into this game, double-digit strikeouts, and give up like 1 run at most. There's no reason, and that's like a floor for him. And what does that get you if he gets the win as a 215 favorite? Well, it gets you 30-plus fantasy points. So that all being said, he's a lock for cash. Make it work. I don't care. Squeeze him whatever bat you have to. His upside is like in the 40s today on Draftkings. Is he a lock for tournaments? In the morning, I say yes. But if his ownership on a 15-game slate is somehow like 50%, which there's no way that there's not like blown out of proportion, right? There's reason and there's merit to fade him. Why? Oh my God, Sally, he's playing Miami. I get it. It's an incredible matchup. It's fantastic. I am probably going to play him. I'm just letting you know that if this gets wonky and he is just over-owned and he only goes out there and gets you 26 fantasy points, well then Garrett Cole can go out there and score 30. Shane Bieber can go out there and score 30, right? You're saving some money and you're getting a better point production, or you're getting just overall better scoring from them, and then you don't need Scherzer anymore and you just beat 50% of the field. It's a leverage game. Jeff El Jefe tweeted it last night. James McCool tweeted it a couple nights ago. Some baseball junkies in the DFS space. And by junkies, I don't mean like, oh, they're just addicted to this stuff. No, I mean they are in a good way. They're great at what they do. They tweeted the same thing. The best leverage and the best edge right now in fantasy baseball is playing the ownership. If you're going to get Max Scherzer at 50 to 60% owned today, if he goes out and scores 45 fantasy points, it does not help you. It does not. It hurts you if you don't play him. Yes, you're not going to win that night. But it does not help you because you're still battling with 50% of the field. So his upside did absolutely nothing for you except weed out 50% of the field, which happens anyways if you roster a guy who hits a home run for the most part, right? That was low owned. So yeah, Max Scherzer, I love him in cash. I love him in tournaments. I'm not trying to knock the guy. I'm just telling you, if he is 50% owned or around there, there's a good chance I kind of pivot, save myself almost $1,000, get to Garrett Cole, who's in a beneficiary matchup, who also has 40% strikeout stuff today, right? It depends on where the ownership comes in, and I'm fine making that pivot because I think their upside in terms of how good they are combined together, or how good they are comparing each other, yeah, the upside there is Cole outscores Scherzer close to a coin flip amount of the time. The matchup is better for Scherzer. It's not it is insanely better because Miami's terrible, but it's not like Cole's matchup is awful and Cole has the better Sierra. Cole strikes out overall better because he strikes out lefties 40%, righties 36%. So that's where I'm at right now. I do have interest in Cole now that we're talking about him at 11.5. The guy averages 25 fantasy points per game, right there with Scherzer in terms of how much they're scoring per game. Gets a beneficial matchup against Pittsburgh. The only downside with Pittsburgh is they don't strike out. They don't have a lot of power. Cole gives up power to lefties, which is concerning. There's going to be some lefties in the middle of that lineup, and really, there's going to be about 5 lefties in this lineup for Pittsburgh. They're a very lefty-heavy lineup, even with Gregory Polanco out and injured. So lots of things to like about Cole. 2.72 Sierra, doesn't walk guys. The issue with him, though, is home runs. He's pitching in a very neutral ballpark today in Houston. He does give up 1.5 home runs per 9. That's something that Scherzer doesn't deal with, and Scherzer's matchup allows him to not give up more home runs. Cole gives up 185 ISO to lefties, more ISO to lefties than righties. He also strikes them out more, but he's going to get about 5 of them today. So yes, Cole is this risky option. That's obvious. But when you're pivoting off of Max Scherzer's ideal matchup today, if that's what you want to do, he gives you upside. He gives you the 40-point upside, Cole, when he has this much strikeout stuff, when he's averaging 6+ innings per start. I am concerned because there are a lot of lefties in this Pittsburgh lineup. If Cole somehow gets a lot of ownership, I'm fine kind of getting some leverage with one-offs or a mini stack against Cole today if you're feeling a little bit risky. Now, if the ownership on Garrett Cole, Max Scherzer, is coming in anywhere close, even if it's off by like 5 to 8%, I still want Max Scherzer. I'm saying if Cole's owned at like 10% or less and Scherzer's at 35+%, then yeah, that's when it starts to become, okay, I have one lineup. How do I get leverage on the entire field? I just fade Max Scherzer. Yes, it's scary, I know. Shane Bieber, number 3. I have interest in the top 3 pitchers today. Look, I'm sorry. Cleveland versus Kansas City. The Royals, they do strike out a decent amount of the time. They don't have that much pop. The problem with Shane Bieber is power to lefties. You're going to get Mondesi not in that lineup, so that helps out. There's going to be a couple other lefties in the middle of that order, maybe one actually, but in the lineup overall, be a couple other lefties. So Bieber is nobody that I'm like insanely dying to get to, but he's definitely respectable at a 32% strikeout rate against lefties, 30.5 against righties. He does have upside in that regard. Again, Cole and Scherzer make for better plays, but the price indicates that. I mean, he's $1,200, $1,400 less than Scherzer, and then you save $700 off of Cole. I do prefer both of them. I get it, but I'm telling you that Shane Bieber, as of right now, is an interest of mine. He's a huge favorite against a team that really can't do too much damage except from the left-handed side of the plate, and one of their best players in their entire lineup is still out on injury, I believe. Jumping all the way down to $8,600 David Price. He's been struggling as of late, and now I imagine he will become one of the most chalky pitchers on this slate. It really depends because it's going to be very game theory, right? If people want to pay all the way up for Scherzer and he gets high ownership, well, then this mid-range or this upper mid-range and sort of the David Price, the Blake Snell, don't want Blake Snell against Minnesota. I'm just explaining that range of the 8,500 and above type players. They're really not going to get owned because how do you pay for the most part, if you paired Scherzer and David Price together today, you're spending $21,000 on pitchers. You can still get to bats, but you're going to get some goddamn terrible bats, and they're going to be bad. You're going to have to get really cheap bats, probably from Detroit and some other areas in San Francisco that you really don't want to roster for the most part, don't have much upside. So David Price, I imagine, goes low owned today, if indeed Max Scherzer is high owned, just naturally because you can't get there, and so more so with that whole middle range. So Price, I do like him. He has been pitching bad as of late, just a couple of rough starts. But he's not giving him any power for the most part. Definitely not to lefties. This Chicago lineup, at least 2 guys in the top of the order are going to be lefty power, and that's where a lot of their power comes from in general, so that's good to see. They strike out top 2 on the slate, I believe, or top 3 at 25.1%. David Price, just in terms of his stuff, how deep he can go into games, I'd expect around a 6-inning performance here. Nothing crazy, but at 8,600 with the win upside, the line isn't out yet, but he'd be my 4th favorite pitcher or my 4th pitcher in my favorite pool. Yeah, well, let's call it the favorite pool. 4th pitcher in my player pool. The next one, I jump all the way down. And look, here's the thing. I got 3 interests that are the 3 most expensive players in the slate. I got another guy who's 8,600. I can't keep having interest in the mid-range. Sure, you can, but for the most part, do I want Trevor Richards against a good Washington team? Do I want Mad Bum against a Colorado team that I think is better than people do give them credit for on the road? Sure, Mad Bum goes deep into the games, nothing that I really care too much about. Do I want $8,100 Logan Allen, who's I get it. He looked good in his 1 start on the year, and now he gets Baltimore's a little bit better of a team. And again, you have $500 more David Price, or you can go all the way down. Jack Flaherty against Oakland, no. Trevor Williams against Houston, no. There's just nothing down here that looks good. Jake Arrieta against New York Mets. Michael Conforto hit a home run last night. This is as good of a matchup as it gets. Last night, it was a great matchup. We called it in the video. We called it in the article. Once again tonight, it gets even better. Jake Arrieta against lefties is terrible. Target lefties in the Mets order. Michael Conforto batted cleanup yesterday. I imagine he's there again tonight. He has a lot of upside. Tyler Mahle against the Angels, no, right? Marco Gonzalez against Milwaukee, no. This Alzolay guy against Atlanta, no. Just nothing here, right? The guy that I will go to as my 5th favorite pitcher, Max Fried, 6,700. He's been struggling. He came off of a good start, right? much better matchup that he had instead of Chicago. If the winds are blowing out in Chicago, there's 0% chance I do want Max Fried today, so keep an eye on the weather. Follow Kevin Roth. I have no affiliation with Roto-Gardeners, but he's the guy that I follow for weather. Just seems like he knows what he's doing. So yeah, Fried is definitely, strikeout stuff is not too much there. He does limit power to a decent extent, especially against lefties. There'll be, like Kyle Schwarber, Anthony Rizzo, some big lefties in that lineup, probably 3 or 4 lefties overall. Fried is 6,700. He's nobody that I'm dying to get to. He's a cheap guy who can let me get to Max Scherzer, get to Garrett Cole, right? So he has been pitching well. He's kind of up and down this year. If the winds are blowing out, I have no interest. If they're fine, they're not crazy. He has a small favorite today, which allows me to believe that he will be doing decent, or at least Vegas expects him to go somewhat deep into this game. Chichi Gonzalez making a first start today against San Francisco. I want to dig more into this guy. I'll dig more into him, kind of give a little rundown on him in the a quick write-up on him in the article on Patreon. Not too much I can say about him right now because I don't know too much other than that he's facing San Francisco today and that he's cheap. Anybody who's facing San Francisco and is cheap, as long as they're a half-decent pitcher, even they don't even have to be half-decent at the price point of 6,600. As long as they can get me 10 fantasy points, I somewhat have interest in rostering them. So he would be my 5th guy in my rotation right now, or my, 4th, 5th, 6th guy in my player pool. And let's jump all the way down. In red, these are just the guys who are openers. Jimmy Yacobonis today, Carson Fulmer is an opener today, and Chad Green is an opener. Outside of that, don't really know the long relief options. The guy for Baltimore only kind of goes out there for 2 to 3 innings. Josh something. He is the opener or the long reliever for Baltimore, but he's nobody that you should be rostering. So we get down now to Jesse Chavez against Detroit. So there's 2 things here. Chavez against Detroit, he has been pitching. He's only pitching 1.33 innings per start if you look at that. But the last game out, he got 5 innings, so they are kind of letting him go out there, not as an opening pitcher, but really as a starting pitcher into this lineup. I think his first official start was the last game into this lineup, just this team. But Chavez is my 7th guy in, and it's really because he's dirt cheap. He's $5,300, so if you do want to force guys in terms of Scherzer and still get to good bats, it's available. But I do also have interest in the Detroit stack against him. Look, Chavez isn't a great pitcher. He does strike out 26% of lefties. Okay, nothing crazy there. The middle of the Detroit lineup, I mean, you have Stewart's a lefty, you have Nico Goodrum's a lefty, but then you have Castellanos as a righty, and it's not that big of a sample when a guy has only pitched above like 1 or 2 innings once this year, right? So I do have interest in the Detroit stack just because they're cheaper today. I'll break that down in the article as well. But Chavez is a guy who's 5,300. He's cheap. There's no way I want to play Clayton Richard against the Yankees today. That's going to be a spot where I target Yankee bats, if anything, and a lot of them. They continue to just put up 10 burgers everywhere, and Aaron Judge didn't even play yesterday, which might be a reason why, because he strikes out all the time. And then Glenn Smarkman against Cleveland. Cleveland, I think, is a little bit over. I think they're closer to an average offense, definitely, and they keep getting these 5-run totals, and I just don't think they're that good. I think they're overvalued by Vegas a lot right now. Maybe you're taking advantage of that in the betting market. But Glenn Smarkman, there's no way that I want him. This guy, he has no upside. He barely goes deep into the games, 4 innings or so. He's a 5.28 SIERA. He has just no upside. He might not give up a ton of home runs, but he doesn't strike anybody out. A 12% K rate overall, 11.5% to righties. Literally, if he doesn't go 4 innings for you, giving up no runs and no hits and no walks, so pitches a perfect game through 4 innings and gets you 1 to 2 strikeouts, he's still getting you like 10 fantasy points, which at that point it's worth it. But he has to pitch a perfect game for 4 innings, and I don't expect that. There's been nothing to show that. So don't go super cheap with Richard against the Yankees or Glenn Sparkman for 4,500. I have no interest there. Chavez against Detroit for 5,300. I do have interest, but I also have interest in the Detroit bats. So just a recap: Scherzer, Garrett Cole, and Shane Bieber, the 3 most expensive guys I have interest in. I have interest in them in that range of, in that order of Scherzer, Garrett Cole, and Bieber. A lot less interest in Bieber as of late. Scherzer would be the guy that I get to the most, especially in cash, but if he has insane ownership compared to Cole, I might make the pivot. Don't think Cole's a surefire play, though, because Pittsburgh does have 5 lefties in the lineup most likely today, potentially even 6, and Garrett Cole does struggle against lefties. He strikes them out a ton, but he gives up more power to them at 185 ISO. He's a great pitcher. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. He's the biggest favorite on the slate at 280. He would be my pivot off of Max Scherzer today for a nice $900 savings and a huge ownership discount, I project. David Price, 4th guy in the player pool, higher mid-range option. I do like him, and his matchup today should not be too terribly unsurprising. Max Fried and Chichi Gonzalez, same price range. I'll be doing a write-up on Chichi Gonzalez either way today, just to let you know how his minor league stats are, since he has not been in the majors yet this year. Fried, tough matchup. If the wind's blowing out, don't want him. If it's in, it's worth a risk at 6,700. He does have 25-point upside. And then Jesse Chavez in a very cheap range in terms of just guys below 6,000. He's 5,300. I do like the Detroit side, but he's 5,300. That's where I'm at. Hit the like video. Let me know if you watched the whole video. Comment down below. Hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at SalVetcherDFS. And go over to Patreon if you want my write-up in terms of stacks and pitchers today. I'm going to be writing it in the car on my way home, but in terms of when, I don't know why you care about that, but that's out later in the day, usually between 5 and 6 or so. So I appreciate it. My name's Sal. Best of luck today, everybody.